In today's video, we are going to learn how to install Linux on our local machine. And there are a few ways you can actually do this. If you are using macOS, if you are using Windows, whatever operating system you are using, they all have different method of installing Linux on them. And because I'm currently using a macOS and I don't usually use Windows, in this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through how to install Linux on your macOS. And also, maybe in the next video, I may also teach you guys how to use a container to run a Linux operating system. But for the case of this tutorial, we're going to learn how to install Linux on a macOS using UTM. But before that, I want to teach you guys an important concept that's going to help you a lot. And that concept is virtualization. Now, what is virtualization? Virtualization is a process whereby an hardware is divided into multiple operating systems. Now, in this case, you have like your macOS, which is your computer, and then, of course, macOS is an operating system, and on top of that, we want to install another operating system on top of that macOS. And because of that, we need to make use of the technology known as virtualization. So for virtualization to work, you need an hypervisor that is running on top of your current operating system. Now, once you have that hypervisor, which is an abstraction over your operating system, you can then install different virtual computers on your operating system. So all these operating systems are using one hardware, but different virtual machines running on top of them. So that is what we're going to do in this tutorial. We have a macOS operating system, but on top of that, we're going to install a Linux operating system. Now you need to discard this Windows OS. I just, put it here for a demo just to explain to you guys what virtualization is. So it means we can have macOS operating system, and then we can have two virtual machines running Linux operating system and also Windows operating system. Now, this is what we're going to do. First of all, in order for us to install Linux on our macOS, we need to download the UTM application, which is the application that is going to allow us to install Linux on our local computer. And also, we're going to download the Linux image because we need the image to run an operating system of Linux. And lastly, we're going to launch it, and also we're going to install Ubuntu. So for this tutorial, we are going to be installing Ubuntu Linux for this demo process. So let's jump right straight into it. So very quickly, head over to this URL, https://mac.getutm.app, and hit enter. And obviously you need to go to this top right corner and click on the download button. So you want to wait for some time to allow the download to finish. So as you can see, it's downloading, and yep, so you have it now. When you click here, so once you have that downloaded on your macOS, you click on it and it's going to throw you this dialog or this window where you need to move it into your application. So you just simply click on it and drag it into your application. So you're going to drag it in, and yeah. So once you're done with that, click on exit and go to your application to look for the UTM app that has already been installed on your Mac OS. So you go to your application and look for UTM. I'm just gonna come here and search for UTM. Yep, here, click on it, and then it should be up in a few seconds. Click OK. Yep. Also, we also need a Linux image, which is the image that contains the Linux operating system that we want to install on a virtual machine running on the Mac OS. So we need to head over to the official website of Ubuntu to download this image, and we can simply make a little search. You can search for Ubuntu, or let's go to ubuntu.com and hit enter. And this is the official website of Ubuntu. Like I've said in my previous video, Ubuntu is owned by Konaniko. These are the people who add more flavors to the vanilla Linux operating system and add more functionality to it and created Ubuntu. So we're going to come here and click on download Ubuntu and come here, let's click on server. Now you see Ubuntu server, get Ubuntu server, click on it. Now we're going to have, you're going to scroll down and look for the particular Ubuntu that has the software architecture as your computer. So this is Ubuntu 24.04.2 LTS. This is the latest version of Ubuntu. And this is the one before, this is the next one. So let's look for our architecture. Let's click on alternative architecture. And here, so we have ARM. This is the one I'm going to use for this tutorial. Depending on your macOS architecture, for mine, my macOS architecture uses ARM, so I'm going to go with ARM. If you're using AMD, please do well to look for AMD. Whichever way, I think if you are using the latest macOS, then ARM should work. So you click on ARM, and then you're going to click here on download 24.04.2 LTS. Click on it. It is a very big file, so you're going to wait for a few seconds or for a few minutes to ensure that it is properly downloaded into your computer. So after some few minutes, you can see that it has been downloaded into my computer. You can see here Ubuntu 24.0.4 live server. Of course, that has been done. So let's head over to the UTM. Click on your UTM, and you should have something like this on your UTM application. So just gonna move it here, okay, and then drag it to the bottom. Now this is the UTM application, and we're gonna create a virtual machine. So you click on create a new virtual machine, click on here, and of course we have virtualize, we have emulate. Now, virtualize is what I've explained before earlier on in the video, where you can have one virtual machine or one physical hardware and then have multiple virtual machines running on top of that. But this emulate is quite different from virtualize. So I'm not going to explain that because of time, but let's focus on virtualize. So let's click on virtualize. And now you're going to click on the operating system which you want to install on your macOS. We have macOS, we have Windows, we have Linux, but in this case, we're installing Linux, so we're going to click on Linux, and then here, we're going to see how do we want to boot the operating system, what image are we going to use. So from here, we're going to click on Browse, and click on the image that we've just downloaded, which is this one. Click on it, and click Open. So once you're done with that, click on Continue. So obviously, your operating system, the virtual machine that you want to create, will be using some of your compute resources on your local computer. 4 GB of RAM, I think it's okay. Leave that as default. Here in your CPU cores, you can, let's increase it to 4. I think 4 is enough. Yeah, 4 is enough. Let's leave it at 4. Then click on Continue. Now, you're going to specify the storage size of this computer or of this virtual machine. Remember that the virtual machine is going to be sharing resources with your hardware. So if your hardware has 64 GB of storage, then it is no brainer that you need to reduce it to like 30. But in this case, we're going to go with 40 or 45. Let's leave it at 45 GB. Then click on Continue. And here, this is asking you, do you want to share some of the directory on your virtual machine with your local computer? We don't want to do that. We want complete isolation. Click on Continue. And this is the summary of the operating system that you want to, install on your computer. So let's change the name of this Linux. Let's change it to Ubuntu 24. Let's leave it like this and scroll down. Everything looks good. Then click on Save. Now, once you click on Save, it's going to bring you to this window. And yep, it's going to bring you to this window. So from here, click on this button at this top, click on it, and jump straight to your display and click on Retina mode. This is going to make the whole graphic more easier for you to see and to visualize. Then click on OK, click on Save. Now, once you've done that, click on here to start the installation process. So you're going to wait for some few seconds to allow everything to boot. Here, now you're going to see try to install Ubuntu server, hit enter. Then it's going to, you're going to wait for some seconds for everything to initialize. Wait for a few seconds. Yep. So we have everything, in order. So it's going to give you some major prompt. And remember that the mouse, as you can see my mouse here, you cannot see my mouse is not visible around the area of the, the Ubuntu server UI. You can't see it here, but you can see it in the rest of the graphic, the rest of the UI. So whatever you're going to be doing, you're going to be using your keyboard. So it's currently set in English. Of course, we are using English. You can use English UK if you are currently based in the UK. So I'm going to hit enter, and everything looks good. You click on done at the bottom. Click on done. Hit enter. Wait for a second. Now I'm going to choose the base for installation. Are we installing Ubuntu server? Ubuntu server minimize. Now we're going to go for the full Ubuntu operating system. So click on done. And here we need to configure network interface. We're going to leave it as default, as the default value, and click done. So proxy address, we don't need that. Click on done, move, and then here it's trying to tell you to mirror location. The mirror location is being tested. We don't need to wait for this. So click done to move ahead. And now we need to configure storage layout. And the first one is use an entire disk. Of course, we have 45 gigabyte of storage. We're going to leave it as it is. We're not going to encrypt anything. Let's click done. Scroll down to the bottom. Just hit your downward key and go straight to done. Click on done. And here, it's just trying to tell you how to format your file system. We don't want to make any changes here. Just click on done and move ahead. So click on scroll down, click on continue, and then let's give it a name. The virtual machine that we want to launch, let's give it a name. In my case, I'm going to give it Israel, which is my name, or let's say Babylon. Let's give it Babylon. Scroll down, your server name, let's call it Babylon as well. Okay, Babylon. So the next one, pick a username. Let's say Babylon as well. So then password, you can use a default password like 1234. Then on that one, 1234. Then once you're done with that, hit done and move to the next page. Here it's going to ask to enable Ubuntu Pro. No, we don't need that. Let's go with the default. Continue. And now it's going to ask you, do you want to install OpenSSH server on the virtual machine? And for now, we're going to ignore this. In our subsequent video, I'm going to teach you what OpenSSH means. But in this video, we're going to be logging into our virtual machine using password. So let's scroll down to the bottom and click done. And here, these are different applications that you can install, alongside your virtual machine. But we're not going to install any of them. We're just going to go down and click on hit the done keyboard. I think that's done. Then we're going to wait for some few minutes for the kernel to initialize, to install everything that we needed, everything that we need for the Linux operating system. So wait for some few minutes, grab a cup of coffee, and wait patiently. So once that is done, you can see installation complete at the top of the window. Okay, once that is done, go to the button, and instead of clicking reboot now, we're not going to click that. So you just simply come here at the top of the window and exit the virtual machine. Just click enter and exit it. So it's going to pop up with some warning sign telling you that, do you want to quit? We're just going to accept that and move ahead. So yeah, click OK, and that's it. So once you've done that, scroll to the bottom. I'm going to remove the image that we've just downloaded because we want to boot it as a full operating system and not booting it with the Ubuntu image that we've just downloaded. So we're going to click on the CD or DVD option here, feed here, and click on clear. So we're going to clear that. So that is empty. So we don't have the image that we've just downloaded. We want to run our operating system, directly. So once we've done that, click here again. It's gonna display the same window here. So let's see if everything worked. So wait for a few seconds. Display output is not active. Wait for some few minutes. Let's wait. Okay, we've got that. Everything looks good, and it's asking me to log in. So you're going to provide the login. First of all, you need to supply the username, which is Barrelon. So we're going to say Barrelon, hit enter. And then your password, which is the default password you set up when, configuring your virtual machine. So you're going to type 1, 2, 3, 4 and hit enter. Wow. So that's it. We are now on our virtual machine. Now you can see if you've used Linux before, this is how it looks like when you log in into a Linux machine. So guys, congratulations. You've just launched a virtual machine on your computer. Now this is very, very cool. So let's say clear our screen and then let's say ls, all the commands are working. Then let's say apt install. Apt install. I'm going to add sudo to it because this is not a root user. Let's hit enter. It requires a password. We're going to type the password 1, 2, 3, 4 and hit enter. As you can see, everything looks good. Yeah, so we're good. And the next thing for us to do is let's try to install a graphical interface on our Linux virtual machine. Now, like I said in my previous video, there are various ways you can interact with the operating system as a user. You can use the CLI, which is what we are currently seeing here, which is our terminal. We don't want to use this. We want to use, I want to also install the graphical interface, which is like a little, nice UI that we see when we launch our computer. So let's install that. In order for us to install that, first of all, let's switch to a root user, which is by using sudo, sudo -i, hit enter, and then let's install, the Linux desktop, which is the Ubuntu desktop, which is like the UI. So let's clear our screen, type clear, and let's make this a little bit bold so you can see it clearly. And yeah, so we've got that. Let's clear our screen and then let's say apt install Ubuntu desktop and hit enter. So we're gonna wait. So it's gonna ask us some few questions. Do you want to continue with this operation? Of course, yes, we want to continue and hit enter. So you're going to wait for some few seconds for everything to get installed So let's wait on some few seconds. Now, sometimes this process might fail depending on how much resources you've had, how much resources is left on your virtual machine. The last time I did this, it actually failed, but I think it's going to work this time. However, if it doesn't work, you just need to follow the same process. This is going to install the Ubuntu desktop, and then you can have your UI on your virtual machine. So that has been installed successfully. So let's restart our virtual machine. I'm going to type the command restart, I think. Click enter. Reboot, type reboot. Yep. So that's going to reboot. Let's wait. So after a while, you will see this window popping up. So as you can see, we now have, the Linux graphical interface and not the CLI. And if you are familiar with Linux, you will recognize this. So click on Barrelon, which is the user we've created when we configure this Linux machine. Just click on Barrelon and type in your password 1, 2, 3, 4, then hit enter. And yeah, that's going to log you into the graphical interface. I'll wait for a few seconds for this to be up. So yeah, so we now have the full Linux operating system. Guys, congratulations, you've just successfully deployed your first Linux operating system on your macOS, and this is like a full operating system. You have a graphical interface. It says welcome to Ubuntu 24. Now don't get it confused. The first one, the initial one we used was a CLI, which is a command, is like a command prompt, which is like a terminal. So we're not using that one. This is like the graphical interface. This is what you can see and interact with. We're going to click next. Here, we're going to click skip. Click next, click finish here. So this is the UI for the Linux operating system, Ubuntu 24. And yeah, so this is it. You can click here. As you can see, it has a different file system, different from your macOS. So you can see videos, documents, download, and all of that. So yeah, this is your Linux operating system running, and you can also see your terminal, which is the one we used before. You can come here, click on terminal, and as you can see Barrelon at Barrelon. You can run your Linux command. You can run, ls there. You can run, you can create a file using Tosh, .txt. As you can see, if you click ls, you're gonna see your file. If you come to the file system as well, once you come here to your user, you can see the file here has been auto created. So yeah, so this is it. This is how to create a Linux operating system on your macOS. I hope you like this video. Please, if you like this video, kindly subscribe, hit the like buttons, and share with your friends. Share with people that need this video. Until then, I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much for staying with me.